The price of any financial asset, including Bitcoin, is ultimately determined by supply and demand. Now, Bitcoin is very, very unique for one reason. It has a finite supply. We know that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. And so when you know exactly what the total supply is, and you also know that the incoming daily supply is programmatic, about 900 Bitcoin a day right now, that means that you don't have to actually model out what the supply of the asset will be. This is very different than, let's say, a public stock, where maybe the company will actually conduct share buybacks, or they may issue more shares at some point in the future. But with Bitcoin, there is no need to model out the supply side of the supply-demand equation. That means that you can turn all of your focus to the demand side, and that demand side ends up helping to determine what the future price of the asset will be. Now, of course, the supply is fixed, it's finite, and it's known. But one of the components that ends up being a really big driver of the price of Bitcoin is the idea of the Bitcoin halving. And now the Bitcoin halving in the past has drawn massive increases in the price of Bitcoin. It's a supply shock. It takes the number of Bitcoin that come into the circulating supply every day and it cuts it in half. Before May of 2020, there was 1,800 Bitcoin a day coming into the market. Today, there's only 900 Bitcoin a day coming into the market. And that is because the Bitcoin halving. Now, these halvings occur every 210,000 blocks or so. And of course, that's about 4 years in terms of the actual time it takes between halvings. Now, the Bitcoin halving that happened in May of 2020, before we get to the next one, we just crossed over halfway. It's a pretty big deal. That means we're 50% of the way to the next halving. That 50% progress means that over the next 2 years or so, we'll walk right into the next halving. There'll be another supply shock. And if history is a guide, it likely will lead to another drastic increase in Bitcoin's price. Anytime you have a fixed asset and you get these supply shocks to the daily incoming supply, as long as demand remains the same or persistently grows at some known rate, that means that price increases. And so as more and more people come into the market, more and more people will start to understand the supply-demand economics, and they will start to realize that those halvings are never priced in. But of course, history does not necessarily serve as a guide for the future 100% of the time. It may rhyme, but it may not absolutely be replicated perfectly. And so you need to do your own research. You need to understand supply and demand. You need to understand how the Bitcoin halving works. And then you need to look at things probabilistically. What is the probability that the Bitcoin halving in the future will have an impact? I think it's quite high, but there's no guarantee. And so ultimately, we're 50% of the way to the next Bitcoin halving. It'll be another big milestone, but it remains yet to be seen. What exactly will the impact be? How big of an impact on price will it have? I don't know, but we're gonna find out in 2 years, and I can't wait.
Hey you, did you like this video? Great, we make 5 of them a day and post them here on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, and see you next time.